Yes, I know, it's been a while and become channel lore about the origins of where this part is, but let's get back to it, shall we? The story where Yajirobe actually gave a hoot regarding what happened on his own home planet. In short, this is a world where Goku was able to, in a way, convince Yajirobe to do a little bit more around the place, help out. Considering his power level, according to various sources, is quite impressive, even though he barely applies himself. I want here to explore a scenario where he did apply himself just a little bit, albeit on his own terms still, otherwise it would be completely out of character. What do we get? Well, he's stronger than Goku right now, after a year in the time chamber. In the last part, Yajirobe's newfound strength does indeed lead to an intense confrontation with Goku, where he surprisingly dominates the fight. Goku doesn't see it coming. This battle, underpinned by a sort of mix and disappointment and respect from both fighters, because Yajirobe was thinking that he would have been really good for a challenge, but he didn't get that, it was a walkover, marks a significant shift in the power dynamics of the Dragon team since, well, Goku ain't the strongest anymore. Yajirobe and Goku embark on a really intense and exciting training regime, since Goku isn't at all that mad, and is in fact fired up to try and learn from his friend. He's inspired because of that old rhetoric of looking for people that are stronger than him that saved him way back when, especially since Yajirobe and him have a past, and concurrently, Piccolo feels left behind throughout all of this. He has to intensify his training just to remain relevant, to keep up with this unexpected rise in power amongst his peers. Now, we fast forward to Raditz showing up, and he finds the Earth's power dynamics drastically altered from what we see in the original. Well, we find it different, he doesn't. With Yajirobe and Goku presenting formidable challenges. He isn't quite as superior as he is in the original telling. The Ronin is doing something heroic. Yajirobe's seriousness, though, in the face of danger, in the middle of a crisis, impresses even the skeptical Bulma, and Goku's Saiyan heritage is shockingly revealed. Meanwhile, Piccolo, after a quite humbling defeat by the likes of Raditz, and luckily nobody saw him do it, kidnaps Goku's son whilst he was busy licking his wounds and pretending to help, setting off another chain of events that separates Goku and Yajirobe for just a little bit. All this means that Yajirobe faces Raditz alone to begin with, surprising the Saiyan with his strength and resourcefulness. However, the battle does take a dangerous turn. Sure, Yajirobe is stronger, but he's not quite strong enough to beat Raditz solo, but Goku does make a timely arrival. Then we get to the moment when it all ends on a cliffhanger, with Goku and a rejuvenated Yajirobe preparing to face Raditz together, after the senzu beans came in clutch. Let's resume. With Goku and Yajirobe staring down the likes of Raditz, the enemy Saiyan was realizing that his plan to subjugate his brother easily into working for him and his superiors was not going to play out the way that he had hoped for. As you may be well aware, he isn't the bravest of Saiyans out there, and is willing to be sneaky and devious, and most importantly, self-preserving when he can help it. He looked at the two fighters before him, staring him down, and he tapped on his scouter to get a good read on them just to be sure that his suspicions were correct. Right now, they were waiting for his initiation of the battle. Sure enough, his suspicions were correct. His brother's power level read that of 1,000 in the here and now, and the fat ones registered a 1250. That wasn't good. Clearly, these two came as a package deal. They were a team, and the only way he could survive this encounter was to divide and conquer. But he'd already done that, and he'd blown that chance when Kakarot had just turned up. He had no other choice. If he wanted to continue living, he took off the scouter and threw it back toward his pod several hundred feet away, the device clattering and bits of screen flicking off. Out in space, two other Saiyans registered the clattering sound and recoiled from the distorted audio. "And it's what are you playing at? Taking off your scouter like that?" The ringing was still present in the short one's ears. "Well, maybe he's getting serious, Vegeta. He might have found his brother after all." Vegeta turned to his lumbering assistant. "Considering how weak Raditz is, Nappa, that's not saying much." They both shared a bray of laughter at Raditz's expense, one of their favorite pastimes actually, whilst tapping their scouter to a different frequency. Clearly, the fight would be over soon enough, and Raditz would be coming crawling back to them with his tail between his legs, which would make sense because, Saiyans have tails. They resumed their business of eating people.
What's the big deal, Pineapple Head?
Said Yajirobe with a clear sense of derision. Raditz gritted his teeth, choosing to let the jibe slide. Your power level was 800 when we fought just now, and yet I registered from you 1250. What did you do? How did you get so strong during a fight? I don't understand. Goku turned to his friend.
It's because we can control our energy. Hold back when we feel like the fight isn't worth going all out for.
Yajirobe turned annoyingly.
I can speak for myself, you dingus.
Raditz was floored. You can control your energy? What kind of witchcraft is that?
Well, that's what you learn when you learn how to fight with strategy, instead of just barging in like a walrus and clobbering people over the head. Which I gotta admit, I still kinda prefer if I have a choice,
said the Ronin. Raditz took this all in and started to get a little bit nervous. If they could suppress their power levels like that with ease without him knowing it, who's to say that they weren't holding back even more? That this was just a dummy of a dummy. The truth is, they weren't. But the doubt in Raditz's mind was enough to make him hesitant to engage in further combat. He also didn't want his teammates to hear him getting scared or cowardly. Again, the only thing he could control right now was the conversation. That kept him alive.
Listen, all I wanted to achieve here was to find my baby brother and bring him home. Well, whatever home is right now. We Saiyans don't take too kindly to being rejected like that. I apologize for my conduct.
Goku was extremely confused with this. What was he trying to prove with this apology?
The answer is still no. If you got nothing else to say, then leave this place and never return. I don't want anything to do with the likes of you. You who kill innocent people for sport and the wants of an evil empire. That's not who we are. Right now, my son's in danger, and all you're doing here is wasting my time.
Raditz shifted nervously.
Well, if that's what you want, Kakarot, I can't really make you.
Yajirobe held out his hand to Goku.
Hold up, Goku. I got an idea.
An idea? Well, what kind of idea?
Listen, dummy, we can use this guy right here to get your boy back. No fighting on our part required. Don't you see this? He's still stronger than us.
The Ronin walked up to Raditz, him feeling confident that the Pineapple Head wouldn't resume the fight.
How about you prove your change of heart to us, buddy? Have you met up with a green pest on your travels here?
Raditz thought for a second.
Well, I did come across a Namekian before meeting you. Green skin, pointy ears, and a turban. Is that what you mean?
Yajirobe nodded.
Well, I guess you could say, I don't know what a Namekian is, but yeah. But anyway, he's a pretty nasty jerk, and he stole Goku's kid behind our backs like a coward.
Raditz's eyes narrowed. That
means he stole my nephew.
Yajirobe blinked and leaned in on this fact.
Yeah. And if you want to help us out, really prove that you're on the level, why don't you use that scouter thing of yours and give us a hand in finding him?
Raditz was quite keen to do so. It was family on the line, and he figured it would be easy since he'd already defeated the Namekian once before.
Very well, I will help you. But just so you know, I cannot use that scouter without my friends hearing in or knowing what we're up to. Wait, you got friends? Yeah, okay,
said Yajirobe with a snarky tone.
It's no joke. They are multiple times stronger than I. And if they got wind of any funny business going on here, they will come here and wreck your world faster than I could. So we're going to have to do this the hard way if you want it done at all.
Yajirobe sighed and knelt down on the ground and began to meditate?
Well, what are you doing, buddy?
Said Goku, perplexed.
This isn't the time for a nap.
I'm freaking meditating, you idiot. I can do it, you know. Just never really saw the point, but Tommy said it's good for cleaning your mind and focusing on stuff or whatever. I'm gonna try to find Gohan and do the best I can, okay? Just shut up and let me do it. Pineapple Head, this is what I like to call my built-in scouter.
The Ronin closed his eyes and concentrated, with Raditz looking on with considerable awe. It took a few minutes of silence, considerably longer than the typical reading of energies practiced by Goku and pals, until at last, he sensed a flicker of Gohan's keys sparking in a very unusual manner, like it was in some kind of distress. Without opening his eyes, he pointed in a direction due north.
Over there. I can't tell exactly how far away he is, but it's a start.
With that, the trio began their search for Gohan. The son of Goku was incredibly upset at having been taken from Bulma, and Piccolo wasn't exactly being a welcome supervisor. He had kept him away from his family and had broken his promise in getting him back to his mother safe and sound, and instead chose to tie him up against a tree whilst he pondered what to do next. What would his next plan be in trying to get what he wanted?
Why are you doing this? Let me go!
Squealed Gohan.
Shut up, Runt! You're part of my plan to take over the world now.
Like I ever help you. You're a meanie and trying to kill my daddy.
Piccolo scowled.
And I'll do it again until I get it done.
Ha! Like you ever could. Him and Yajirobe can whoop your butt all day long if they knew where you are.
Piccolo chose to smack him across the face with that remark. But then he sensed something bad coming this way. 3 powers were headed in their direction. He recognized one of them being the Saiyan that he had fought earlier, the one that had revealed that he was a Namekian, whatever that was. Had they found them? No, impossible. He kept his power suppressed, and the kid's was... No. He saw the likes of Gohan twitching with anger, the red welt on his face still raw from the smack. It looked like Gohan was seething with rage, and he had finally been tipped over the edge. Maybe he had sensed what felt like his father coming toward him, and he lashed out. Piccolo wasn't scared initially, after the initial shock, but was impressed with the display of power coming from the pipsqueak. If he could use that... Yes, he could use that to do his bidding. But that thought quickly flew out the window when Gohan broke through the ties that bound him and roared with fury. Out in the distance, that flare-up was unmistakably Gohan's. Goku was energized and shot up an even faster pursuit on Nimbus, with the others desperately trying to keep up. Within a few minutes, they had arrived to find Piccolo desperately holding back a rampaging Gohan, whose eyes had whited out, and he was frantically clawing and snarling at the Namekian, who had to hang on desperately to ensure that he didn't do him some serious damage. But he got bowled over, and when he got up, he saw 3 men staring back at him. They had found him. Probably thanks to the brat's tantrum. "Hand over the kid, Namekian," said Raditz in a very cold and dark tone, making use of his superior powers since he knew that Piccolo was considerably weaker than him. One of the few people on this planet clearly that was weaker than him. He could at least lord over him for a bit. Piccolo was floored and shocked as to how they could have gotten the Saiyan on side. He was a freak of nature and power. Gohan quickly calmed down and ran over to Goku, and the pair embraced.
It's all right, son. Don't worry. I'm here.
As they consoled one another, Raditz cracked his knuckles.
You know, I don't take too kindly to those who are my family, considering I ain't got much one of those these days. Oh, I'm going to enjoy this.
Raditz then proceeded to deck Piccolo intensely in the schnoz to prove to Goku and Yajirobe that he was on their side, that this was genuine, and that they probably shouldn't think about killing him. When he was about to deal the final blow, the finishing blow, Yajirobe suddenly shouted,
"Wait!"
Raditz froze, still holding Piccolo, ready to deal the blow.
I just remembered. We can't kill him.
He sounded annoyed at that.
If we kill him, we don't got more Dragon Balls, Kami's connection and stuff. Oh, damn it, I kinda wanted to kill him.
Piccolo smirked.
You can never get the satisfaction of doing so, whilst I, one day, can get it with killing you all.
Shut up, said Raditz, clobbering Piccolo on the back of the head, knocking him out. When things calmed down, Raditz turned to his brother and nephew and smiled.
Well, a deal's a deal. Are we good, brother?
Goku looked to him and nodded.
That still doesn't forgive you for all the bad stuff you did to other people over the years, but... well, at least I know you've got some good in you.
He wasn't exactly smiling, but he was a little less hostile than he was before toward him, which was something in the eyes of Raditz. Yajirobe then smiled.
You see, buddy, sometimes you don't have to fight to get what you want. sometimes you can get other people to do it for you. You know, sometimes it's good to use your brain and stuff and less of the fists. So, well, now what?
They all looked at each other. Raditz stood up.
I'll head back to my friends and tell them that this was a bust. That you and this planet aren't worth it, and that might be enough to distract them and leave this planet alone. That's the least I could do to make sure that my nephew is all right and healthy.
Goku smiled for the first time since their encounter began in his presence.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Raditz.
Yajirobe felt extremely satisfied, and they all headed back to Raditz's pod before the brother of Goku flew away back into space to keep their secret safe. As the pod disappeared from view, Yajirobe spotted something on the ground a few dozen feet away. It was a chunk of the armor of Raditz that had blasted off the Saiyan's plate. He walked over to it and picked it up, a spoil from his victory. He had an idea which he would take to Bulma later. Meanwhile, some weeks later, Raditz returned to his compatriots and reported the scene to them, hoping that that would have been enough for them to see sense and leave them be, drop the matter. Unfortunately for him, they did not.
Clearly you can't be trusted to do a decent job. We need as many Saiyans as we can get. But no, his power was so weak, I told you that, you fool. We clocked the power level request that you made on them. 2 power levels of over 1,000. You chickened out, didn't you? You ran away from a battle because you thought you were about to die. Pathetic. Ha! Yeah, laughed Nappa. Surely you could have gone down fighting like a true Saiyan, Raditz. Not like the whimpering, bumbling whelp that you are.
Raditz was getting tense.
What does it matter, right? They're not doing anything to bother us. They're just a bunch of goody two-shoes. Why can't we just leave them alone?
Vegeta just stood up and whacked Raditz across the face.
You don't get to decide, Raditz. You seriously think we could leave them alone after you interfered? You probably told them about us, didn't you? And now they'll be frantically preparing themselves in case we show up. Well, why don't we just do that? It's been a while since we've had a vigorous suppression of valiant heroes. Let's go, Nappa.
Nappa jumped up and seemed quite excited for what was to come. Raditz, though, was screaming on the inside. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.